Greetings, one and all. Here we are with the second edition of Footprints, leaving an indelible mark. I, Reva, and my co-anchor Amrita will gladly host this podcast. The sole purpose of this podcast is to bridge the generation gap between Gen Zs and millennials. This initiative has been brought by GK Gurukul, which done the crown in 2017, and since then our bright minds have been adorning it with resplendent jewels, bringing consecutive laurels and bagging accolades in fields ranging from elocution to calisthenics.
Reva, that was a splendid journey to come about. How is GK Gurukul envisioning its future ahead?
We witness a spike in the confidence and caliber of the institution and its students, spreading its wings across. This year, we hosted the TED Titans 2023, which was a state-level competition whereby we witnessed a mass participation of 1,800 plus students with 65 plus schools. The efforts pertaining to the vision and mission of the school are making this school emerge proficiently in the sector. So, Amrita, who do we have with us on this edition of the podcast?
Reva, our guest is a very special one. Her name is Miss Shobha Tyagi. Shobha ma'am has been an alumna at the Loreto Convent, Lucknow, and carries over 2 decades of experience in the field of education. Ma'am has encountered various walks of life, from being an English teacher and headmistress at DPS Kanpur to becoming the founding principal and director at Allen House. She bags a master's in English literature and has similarly conducted workshops for parents, students, and teachers on various topics pertaining to time management, leadership, and parental guidance. Ma'am is also an honorable recipient of the Hindustan Shiksha Samman in 2014 by Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi, as well as the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2016 by Professor Abhishek Mishra. Respected ma'am, we welcome you here on the GK Gurukul podcast. Namaste ma'am. There will be 2 segments of this podcast. The first being a questionnaire followed by the rapid fire round. Let us now commence with this podcast. Namaste ma'am. I'm Amrita.
Namaste, Amrita and Reva. Just tell me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Is it Reva or Reva?
It's Reva.
Reva. Okay, Reva. Got it.
Ma'am, there will be 2 segments of this podcast. First, we'll start off by the questionnaire, followed by rapid fire.
Okay.
Let us commence with the question.
Don't test me too much on rapid fire, okay?
Sure, ma'am. So, ma'am, what fueled you to take up teaching, especially English, as a profession?
What fueled me? See, one thing which will be very interesting for today's audience and listeners and students is that I began my career at the ripe age of 43. Till 43, I was a housewife, a good housewife, taking care of my children, my husband, my home, which was, of course, of utmost importance then. So now when I came into teaching, I think it was fueled more by the school, Delhi Public School, coming very, very close to my house. It was like walking distance. And I had always taught my boys. I have 2 children, 2 boys who are now grown up, adults, 41 and 42. So I used to teach them everything. I used to teach them English because I had done my master's in English. And I was very fond of going through their textbooks. So I never stopped learning. And this is what I think fueled my passion for teaching when the school came up very close to my house. And it was an opportunity which I did not want to miss out on. And because I was a master's in English, so I took up English as my subject, though I'm well versed with Hindi and Sanskrit also. My mother was a Hindi and Sanskrit scholar. So in spite of being from Loreto Convent, Lucknow, I was made to learn and do Sahityak Hindi till class 12, which was at that point of time very painful for me. But then I realized that it held me in very good stead later on in life. So that is how I began my career as a teacher. And then it became a commitment, a passion, in Urdu, what you call junoon. So I was eating school, drinking school. My children were grown up and my husband had passed away. So that fueled more and more. It added more of my inputs became more and more to the school. And that's how I got more from the children. And because I had started at a late stage, I think I had all the time in the world to give to my students. And English, of course, being a convent educated girl and having wonderful teachers, we had been taught English the correct way, what they said, Cambridge English. So I wanted my children to learn English the proper way. So that's how it all began. My journey began at the age of 43 in 1997.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Second question to you is, it is a
Yes.
notion that teaching is nothing more than a 7 to 2 job. So what is your take on this? Is there something more to just time allotted working schedule, or is there something more to it?
Okay. You mean that, firstly, I think you use the word job.
Yes.
I don't think teaching is a job. It isn't. It is much more than that. Teaching is a commitment to your own self, to your children. And I remember, I think I have quoted this oft to my teachers. I think every year when I used to address the assembly, this was one of my favorite quotes, which I used to say. Swami Vivekananda once said to his disciples that you are divine and I'm here to serve you. So if you're teaching with that kind of commitment in yourself and your heart, that the children who are sitting in front of you are divine and you are there to serve them, then it ceases to be a 7 to 2 or 8 to 2 or an 8 to 3, whatever the timings of different schools are in different cities, different countries, in India also. But I think teaching is much more than a job. It is not a job. By calling it a job, we make it sound very mundane and very like some would work in an office. Not that that is in any way demeaning. People have different varied professions and varied jobs to do, and they have their own parameters to meet. But I think teachers are something much more than that. So it ceases to be a 7 to 2 job, and anybody who's doing it as a job should change and give more and more to their children. I'm not saying that priorities should not be well defined. Of course, they should. You have a home, you have children to attend to, you have to go back, you have to do your domestic chores or whatever you're required to do at home. But when you're in school, give your 100% to the school. Enter your class like a breeze of fresh air. Just enter the class with everything behind you. Whatever is happening at home or not happening in your life should be just left behind. Just enter the class and enter with this sense of giving your children everything, and also keeping an open mind about learning from your students. I learned a lot, girls. My children taught me a lot. My journey is one of learning. So that's why I would not call it a 7 to 2 job. I think the flip side of the coin is much more interesting. Once I told my parents that, it's a very old and hackneyed cliche. I'm sure you heard it. If it is raining, then I wear my raincoat. Or if I don't wear my raincoat, then it is not raining. So what is the role of a teacher? That's it. Is it answered?
Yes, ma'am. Amazing answer. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Ma'am, in your opinion, what is the significance of a role model in one's life, and who is your source of inspiration?
Role model.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, role model in my life, of course, is my mother, as I just said, and I will reiterate that my Hindi and my Sanskrit skills are because of my mother. All the shloks that I know, I grew up as a girl who saw her mother chanting, the Hindi shlokas which we learn at school and which we say, like Guru Brahma or, Tvameva Mata, whatever, Sarva Mangal Mangalye, there are so many. So she was one role model, and the other role models are only my teachers. I got the best of the teachers in my school. What I am today, whatever I have achieved in life, is only and only because of the fabulous and the amazing teachers, the awesome teachers who taught me in Loreto Convent, Lucknow. I'm sure my peer group will, voice the same opinion that they were a class apart. They taught us so well, and they knew their subject so well. I don't think half the time they didn't open their textbooks. If they were teaching Shakespeare, it was like, you start breathing Shakespeare. If they were doing a poem, then the enunciation, the articulation, the way you pronounce the words, the way you understand the poem. It was all so fantastic. You know, those days, there was this practice of taking us to one, because I'm from Lucknow, there used to be this very cult movie theater called Mayfair. And we were all taken to Mayfair to watch movies like Sound of Music, My Fair Lady. And then when we came back, we had 8 beautiful grand piano rooms where the nuns played. Yeah, we had Irish nuns, they played the piano, and we were made to learn all the songs. It was like the Holy Bible. You have to learn the songs. So, you know how these teachings help you a lot. Today, I can sing because I was a part of the school choir. I mean, needless to say, I must have had a good voice. I mean, I was a young girl, so I don't know so much. But I mean, I don't remember so much why I was taken into the choir. But whatever the reason was, they taught us so well that I know the songs by heart till today. Be it Sound of Music, be it Mary Poppins, be it My Fair Lady. We were just taught stupendo fabulously, if there's a word like that. So I think my mentors, what you mean is, you know, to have a mentor in life. And, you know, they were more than teachers. I think they're gurus. I think we need to refer to our teachers more as gurus than teachers, you know. Then it'll cease to be a job and it'll become something, a divine practice of teaching and learning. So my gurus are my role models. I mean, I have so many names. There's Miss Dignam, there's Miss DeCosta, Miss Menezes. And writing was so important. They taught us, you know, they taught us the system of making margins, of, you know, everything. Everything was so well taught and so well instilled that. So that's it. My teachers are my role models, and my mom, of course. Of course, my entire family. I learned from my brother, my sister. I'm the eldest, but I do learn from them a lot. So that's it, girls.
Ma'am, adding to this question, you mentioned that you've learned many teachings from students. So can you elaborate on some of those? Some teachings.
Yes, I can. Yeah, why not? Why not? Once, I remember there were many students, because, you know, when I was with the Delhi Public School, and then my management, they put me onto a new school they opened called Allen House Public School, which was a startup. So with a startup school, you have students who have never been to school, who are coming for the first time to school. So there was this little child called Avi Maheshwari. He was in class 1. And believe me, I had left Allen House Public School. I had shifted to Bombay. And, you know, they still remember me, and they wanted me to give the parting speech when they left class 12th and when the farewell is. So I made a little address to them, and I posted it on WhatsApp. You know how social media is so active and alive today. And I think it was played at their farewell, and they all had tears in their eyes. So this particular child, Avi Maheshwari, and because I was very passionate in whatever I was teaching, so he was to sing a song, I think Mere Desh Ki Dharti, if I'm not mistaken, and he was not getting it right. And then, you know, of course, we are not supposed to scold children, but I was like wanting him to win the competition. So I just told him, I said, Avi, you're just not starting at the right place, and, you know, I'm very disappointed in you. And then when he won the competition, the first thing he said was that Tyagi ma'am was very strict with me, but today I owe everything to her because she was strict with me. So this is something which I learned, that being strict is not bad. Being strict is good at times. You know, you as students don't want your teachers to be strict. You want them to be lenient with you. But sometimes, you know, strictness helps a lot. So that taught me one lesson, because I had entered school at 43. I told, you know, 43 is some age. People have kind of, you know, reached the prime of their career then. But I had just begun. I was a housewife, and I was also very nervous and scared, but I was always very confident. I was always very, very confident that I shall achieve what I have set out for. So this was one lesson by Avi. The other one was by a child called Parth, who used to start crying when I used to enter the class. So, you know, I taught dyslexic children. I did not even know the word dyslexic when I entered school. I did not know what proper dyslexia was. So this girl, Shubhi, she was there. She taught me a lot, because, you know, then I learned to be softer, to be, you know, because sometimes you have a personality which kind of precedes you. But at that point of time, those children taught me to be gentle, to be kinder, to be softer, because they were slow learners. So, and then slowly, that became my forte. And then all children who had any kind of a problem, they used to be put into my section. And I used to be a proud teacher to help and learn from them. So that is how students taught me. Once also they taught me not to speak too fast. I told them to pull up their socks. And all the time our nuns used to, and believe me, they all bent down and pulled up their socks. So it was another. So these are small anecdotes and learning experience which I had from my students. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So, ma'am,
Yes.
you obviously have your share of good and bad in the 2 decades of your experience. What is one strenuous situation that you faced, and what learning did you acquire from it?
And I think the strenuous situation was my starting at the age of 43. I did not know how to fill up an attendance register. I did not know so many pedagogies of teaching. I just had a flair. Sometimes you have a flair for something and you don't know till you are tapped. You need to be, like you say, you have to tap the potential of the children. So unless and until you get that platform to be able to show your talent or to show your potential. So that is how those 2 decades were, as I said, a period of give and take. And what was your question? You said, what did I experience any strenuous experiences? Is that what you asked me? Well, yes, of course. Of course, there were times when it was very stressful also, because you have to be accepted. Acceptance is very important, and for me, it was hugely important to be accepted by the teachers who had been teaching for donkey's years. I mean, they'd been teachers for ages. And then it was a stepping stone for me at the age of 43 to be able to learn, to be able to imbibe, to be able to do things properly. And of course, teaching, when you're in the class, that is your own flair. You can be given a lesson plan and you have to follow that, but what you give to the children while you're teaching is your own. Because I used to feel that, and I used to tell my teachers later on when I became a principal, that you're queen of your domain. So when you're queen of your domain, the sky is the limit. You can teach them anything. So, but yes, there were times stressful. There's always competition, competitiveness. So you have to bear up with that. I think in all trades, all professions, all this happens. Peer rivalry, things like that. One has to face that and one has to overcome that. But if you're ready to adjust, accommodate, adapt, I think half the battle is won. And the most strenuous situation was when I was promoted from a teacher to a headmistress. That was the most strenuous, because suddenly you are put over and above teachers you've rubbed shoulders with. But again, as I said, it all happened by God's grace. Of course, nothing can happen without the blessings of the Almighty. I have my God to thank everything for. So that's it.
Beautiful insight, ma'am. You made a mention about you being a convent student. Do you think there should be a demarcation between convent education and other boards?
Not at all. No, absolutely not. I just speak about it as a pride. Nothing as a stigma for anybody who's not convent educated. I mean, I think girls from central school and students from central schools do so well in life. You don't have to be. And that is why I told you the reason was that, convent was known as, by the rickshaw pullers, because those days rickshaws were very common in Lucknow, and by the common layman language was Bhaktin school. Why Bhaktin school? Because nuns used to be there wearing that habit, complete dress. So usko Bhaktin school कहते थे. तो आपको Bhaktin school जाना है. So वो convent जो था, that was but my mother was always, she said, तुम अंग्रेज जद नहीं बन सकती. You have to do your Hindi. I could have easily taken up Samanya Hindi, because in my time, I did my senior Cambridge in 1970. So in 1970, I could have easily got away with Samanya Hindi. Samanya Hindi is very easy. But my mother made me take up Sahityak Hindi. My Hindi is also very, very strong, girls. So, and my Urdu, being from Lucknow, is also, because I love to pick up languages. I love to, do things with languages, play games and learn how to speak them well, the lehza, uska pronunciation. So I'm proud of being from Loreto Convent, but I wouldn't say that convent is any kind of a chip on the shoulder I bear that, I'm convent educated. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think every school, every public school is doing their best with the children. I only have a sense of pride in saying that I'm from Loreto. And I think everyone should have a pride for the alma mater. Don't you think so?
Yes, of course.
Do you think so, Amrita and Reva, that one should have a sense of pride for this? Otherwise, no, absolutely not. It is nothing that I would feel that any school which is not a convent is less. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No ways.
Thank you, ma'am. Amazing insight again.
Ma'am, individuals these days have to cope up with mental turbulence such as stress and pressure. So how
Can
can
you just repeat that, please? Sorry to interrupt you. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So individuals these days, they have to cope up with mental turbulence such as stress.
Mhm.
So how can we handle this situation?
You mean students and children?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you mean the youth in general today?
Yes, ma'am. As well as parents and teachers, how can they assist in this?
Oh, as well as parents and teachers facing turbulence emotion. See, the thing is that with children, of course, much of it is self-created also at times. Sometimes it is reflected stress. I think children, sometimes I used to tell my parents that the competition is not between children, it is between the mothers more than, my child has got what percentage. And so all this is adding to the stress, the peer group, what socio-economic background you're from, what you have, the haves and the have-nots, and all that is there in the mind, girls, because actually all this adds to the stress and also the lifestyle. Now, you children are so much on to the internet that I don't know, though again, yoga, meditation, all is so there are two worlds going parallel. So one is the children who are just into internet, tech savvy all the time with their phones, and and social media is also adding to the stress in a way. How children on FB want likes, and if they don't get for what they're doing, they're disappointed, and it adds to the stress again. So there's so many factors. There's just not one factor. But the way I think to get over it is, and to be able to not get cowed down by these things and to get bogged down and go into doldrums, is to keep yourself happy from within. There is something which you should have which is more than external, because external has its own limitations. Somebody can make you happy, somebody can make you sad, but if your within is compact, it is controlled, and you can speak to yourself, and then you can kind of self-analyze yourself, that what is it which is giving me stress. So you have to find the trigger, the stimuli, the stimulus which is creating the stress, and if that can be lessened or that can be taken care of, I think. And for parents, I have just this opinion that there are many kinds of parents. I used to have this workshop with my parents often, and I'm sure if some of them will listen to this podcast, they will know there are 2-3 styles of, I think 4 styles. One is the authoritarian, one is the authoritative, one is I think the permissive, and one is the one where parents are not interested. So the authoritarian, authoritative may sound very similar, but the authoritarian is where the parent does not see or listen to the child. The authoritative is the one which should be practiced, because there you hear your child, you listen to your child, you hear their problems. So also stress can be lessened by being closer to your family, by being closer to your parents, by being able to discuss everything with them. Parents also should have that kind of platform, or the environment, or the atmosphere in the house, where you girls or you boys or students should feel free to go up to their parents and speak their minds to them, speak their heart out. Though also I would say that it shouldn't be that parents should become buddies to their children. I do not much approve of that, because then that gives them that kind of a kind of feeling that, they can kind of get away with everything. So that I don't believe in, that you get away with everything. But yes, parents should be open to children. They should listen to, because you people are so exposed and you've seen so much, you gather so much, right, wrong, whatever it is, good, bad, whatever you're learning, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever you're learning. But ultimately you're learning. And that learning has to be channelized. So, I mean, maybe I'm digressing from the topic, but the thing is that what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to pinpoint, the crux is that you have to be open to talk, to communicate. That's very important. Communication and talking helps a lot. When you're able to vent your emotions, your feelings, the stress automatically, be it a friend, be it a soulmate, be it anybody, girl, boy, father, mother, friend, teacher, but talk it out. Don't keep it bottled inside you. The more you bottle it inside you, the more stress, the more depression, the more cases of, suicides, and more cases of depressive maniacs we get in the society. So it's always best to talk it out. Just communicate, just talk.
Valuable thoughts, ma'am.
Being in the school choir, you're a prolific singer, and we believe all hobby individuals have to be encouraged. So, how would you, what would you suggest to inculcate some tips where students can find time within a hectic schedule to enjoy and develop their hobbies?
What is a hectic schedule? What is a hectic schedule? We were students, we were in school. What is a hectic schedule? What do you mean by hectic schedule? Explain that to me first, then I'll give you the answer. What is a hectic schedule?
Well, we don't find enough time for what we really like to do, because the accumulation of all the stress, as you said before, all the stress and work we have from school, extra classes, and some more, when we do some more extracurricular activities that our parents suggest, we don't have enough time for hobbies. So how do we find time in all of that?
Firstly, though, there is no word as extra. It is always co-curricular. There is no extracurricular now. It's co-curricular as a part of your curriculum, the CBSE or the IC, whatever. Everything what you do, your activities, and everything today are a part of your curriculum. So it is co-curricular. So when you have co-curricular activities, I'm sure the timetable distribution, the period distribution in your school would allow you to do your studies and do your co-curricular activities side by side. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
So having said that, the other thing is to find time is time management, children. Time management is of utmost importance. If you sleep early, see, if you want to be on the TV, on your phone, on your internet for 12 o'clock in the night, needed or not needed, I mean, you're going to have lack of sleep. So if you sleep early and you get up early, I'm not saying get up for Suryodaya. बहुत सुंदर time माना जाता है, ब्रह्म मुहूर्त कहते हैं. If you get up before the sun and you see the rising sun, it is wonderful. I'm not saying that you can practice that in today's day and age. I'm not saying that you can't. You can if you want to. So the will to follow your passion is very important. You have to take out time for that, because that is what will keep you going later in life. See, I may have been, singing. I have never for a day had any training for music, not for a single day, never ever. But I had a flair, I had a passion. It was a God gift. I'm thankful to God for having given me this little gift, which gives me so much happiness today, that I'm able to pass my time at home alone. And also, see, some of you say hectic schedule. Some children here say, I'm bored. How can you be bored when you have a hectic schedule? So these are all contradictory statements. They're like oxymorons. You're saying something and you're meaning something. So find time for your passion. Take out that little bit of time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And it'll help you, and it can be a part of your co-curricular. So I stopped using the word extracurricular activities in my school. It was always co-curricular. It is with your academics. Academics, activities, co-curricular, everything is one whole package in school now. It's a complete package which is delivered from the school to the students. So in that co-curricular, take up your hobby, choose. The school gives you full leverage to take up your choice, doesn't it? I'm sure yours does also. It is such a wonderful school. I've been hearing such wonderful things about it. I've been reading about it. I've been Googling it. So you people, I'm sure, are getting I mean, look at this. I mean, I wouldn't know if I had at your age, I would have been able to interview anybody. I wouldn't have had the gumption. I wouldn't have had the guts. So this is all learning, no? So do that. Take out time. Find your passion and pursue it. If music is your passion, take up your activities music. If games is your passion, take up your activities games. And then bring it home with you and give that 15-20 minutes extra at home, and your work is done like that. Between school and home, you're sorted, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
No? Don't you think so?
Yes, sure. I'm sure it was insightful for all our students.
Encounter numerous obstacles while dealing with stress and pressure, peer pressure with adolescents. What is your take on this issue?
My take would be, I think, repetitive again, that parents have to be, have to have that sense of being one with the children today, looking at the way the children are growing up faster than it was, and learning so much from media, from social media, from friends. I think they need to be a little more giving, and they need to be foster that kind of confidence in the children, that they can come up to them with any kind of problems. That is of utmost importance, because if the child is bottled up and is not able to open up to parents, who is the child going to open up to? Either it's the teacher or the parent. So the teacher, I've always referred to as surrogate mothers. So between them and between the family and between the parents, I think that's how they can handle it best, is to understand the child. They have to understand the child's psychology, the psyche, what is going on in the head of the children, and to help them. I'm not saying that, see, I'll tell you, there was this film which was highly appreciated called Tare Zameen Par. It became worldwide fame. I mean, it's a wonderful film, and I hold Amir Khan in huge respect for his acting talents and his films which he has put up. But believe me, if I had been at the censor board, I would have banned this movie for children. I don't ban movies. I wouldn't, as a critic, ban. This is because, every child cannot be Ishan. I think the name of the child was Ishan. Every child cannot be Ishan. And after that movie, I faced a huge problem with children saying that, oh, I'm good at art, and, I will follow art, and I will. At whatever point of time, if you're in class 10th, you have to give I'm not saying that you get 96%, 98% to become crazy about numbers. But, and parents becoming crazy about numbers. But you can't want your parents for you to just while your time away. Whatever period of time, if हमारे शास्त्रों में अगर 4 वो बने हैं, वर्ण बने हमारे लिए कि हम ब्रह्मचर्य का पालन करें, हम गृहस्थ आश्रम का करें, उसके बाद हम अपने गृहस्थ आश्रम का करें, फिर संन्यास जो भी है, जो भी वर्ण बनाए हैं, उसके हिसाब से भी अगर हम चलें, तो whatever we are doing at some point of time, we should do it to the best of our ability. And that is where this clash between the parents and the children are coming, because they want to do everything their way. Parents, of course, whatever generation they belong to, my generation, younger than me, handling their children. So that is how, that's the only way to handle it, is to bridge the gap, which is, of course, again, as a very cliched phrase, to bridge the gap. But bridging the gap is the only way I think parents can today deal with adolescent pressure and the mood swings of the children, and how they are, acting and how they are reacting. Because reaction is becoming stronger. I also react a lot. One has to respond. Parents have to learn to respond to their children and not react. We all make mistakes. I must have made mistakes as a mother. No one is perfect. We should try, we should vie for perfection, but you can't be perfect ever. So it's an ongoing process, and parents should also Google and read and learn. Like I'm telling you, these four kind of parents I identified: the authoritarian, the authoritative, the permissive. So the one who's not interested in the child at all, they have their own pursuits. So it's all each to his own and each to their own. But yeah, the bottom line is to be close. Bonding is very important. Bonding is becoming, I think, less and less, because joint family systems are breaking up. There are nuclear families, a single child. So children get spoiled and they want everything because, all their demands are fulfilled because they're the only child. I don't know how many of you are the only child in your family, but you tend to get spoiled, and that also becomes. So I said it is both ways. It's like a coin. You flick it, and 50 times its head, and 50 times its tails. So 50 times the parent is right, 50 times the child is right. Now, how to make that happy medium? So that happy medium is very important. Right?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
So, ma'am, you have been an English teacher peaked with morals. Pertaining to your fondness for English, do you observe a glint of today's scenario in Shakespeare's works?
Shakespeare's work, well, the recent teachings, though, are saying that one should not teach Shakespeare at all. It's not required. Why should children be subjected to so much torture? But we were taught Shakespeare with a vengeance, if I may use that word. With a vengeance, meaning that we had to learn all the speeches, the soliloquies, the Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, Twelfth Night, Hamlet. All these were part of our. I mean, we started in class 7th with Merchant of Venice. And we used to do unabridged versions. You know what unabridged is? When you do it in the Shakespearean language, not the abridged version. That you do it in a story form, in prose, that you read it like a story. Ours was Shakespearean language. So we had to deal with that. We had to understand that. And because of the excellent teachers we had, we never faced a problem in understanding any speech of any play or any act. There used to be act 1, act 2, scene 1, scene 2. So much of Shakespeare is relevant today. The Porter scene, maybe Hamlet's that iconic speech, to be or not to be. That is the question. Though when Hamlet speaks about it, it is to do with life and death. But if you pertain it to today's environment, to be or not to be is the question, isn't it? To be or not to be. To do it or not to do it. To be there or not to be there. I mean, changing the Shakespearean version of it. But if you want to relate it to everyday life, then that is what it is.
Thank you, ma'am. Amazing answer.
All these speeches, if music be the food of love, play on. How it is. 12th Night, all these. So we were taught, as I said, Shakespeare with a vengeance. We were made to learn everything by heart. We just had to know the speeches. If we were doing Lady Macbeth, and see the character, see how Macbeth and how Lady Macbeth are there, and how she is, provoking him to murder the king. So all these are learning experiences. No, anything you read literature, darling, literature is something which is so vast and so immense that you cannot remain untouched. So whatever you read, whatever you imbibe, and whatever you inculcate takes you a long way in life. So that's what that's what I take care of.
That opened a completely different perspective. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, from what perspective do you view the emerging trend of homeschooling?
Homeschooling.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll share a very interesting experience. I was just in Vietnam for 1 month, from the 17th of July to the 18th of August. I just landed here in Bombay on the 18th. And Vietnam homeschooling is a huge thing. I was in Ho Chi Minh City, but all over Vietnam, homeschooling is coming up because, of the reason that their life is very different. So homeschooling is at times, I don't know, I wouldn't say that, it would make a child a loner, but the point is that there are many attributes to homeschooling also. Because, there is no peer pressure. The child learns at his or her own pace. Children who are facing a challenge, who are special needs, children with special needs, maybe dyslexic or autistic, they get that kind of platform because sometimes in mainstream, they are not able to grow. Again, quoting Tare Zameen Par, that in mainstream, they are boycotted, because they are not able to follow in class what the teacher is teaching. So maybe if that kind of a child is with homeschooling, they might benefit more. And it is more flexible. So these are some of the attributes of homeschooling, and it is coming up in a big way. There is one school in Pune also. I don't remember the name of that school. It's an NGO, and it's being run by somebody. If I tap my phone, which I don't want to do just now, I mean, I'll be able to find the name of that person. And he has done homeschooling for his child, and he's doing excellently. He goes for his activities. He goes for the sports which he's interested in. So it is more child-centered, I guess. I mean, if that's the word for it, I really don't know. But, because it was not in my time, it had not started, it was just coming up. But now it is a huge thing everywhere, in India also, in Bombay also. In Pune, it is coming up beautifully. Because I know of this gentleman whose child has done homeschooling. In fact, I learned about homeschooling a lot from him. He's part of the Indian Principals Network. And I'm also a part of the Indian Principals Network still. And I'll be interviewing teachers pan-India starting tomorrow to honor them on the 5th of September. So that's one activity which I've been doing for the past 3 years. And it gives me a lot of satisfaction to meet teachers pan-India, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Bombay, here, everywhere, Lucknow, North. So that way, maybe homeschooling can be good for the child.
Thank you, ma'am.
Depends also on the parents, what kind of job they are in, what kind of pressure they are in, and how they are feeling for the child to be at home and study. So that needs to be taken. One academy I know, I think it's the American Academy for Pediatrics, which has talked about homeschooling a lot. I think we should look it up sometime. I will also. I've heard about it from people. I'll be very honest, girls. I'm not into it, so I wouldn't be the right person to give a correct opinion of it. But this is my take on it, that maybe it's more flexible, maybe it's more child-centered, things like that. Yes, thank you.
Adding to this question, ma'am, till what extent do you believe that the NEP 2020 policy would forge in a positive change in the education system?
NEP 2020. Now, this was much talked about last year when I was interviewing the teachers. Every professor was asking the teachers, what is NEP 2020? So, and it was after I had left school, because I resigned in 2017. So then NEP 2020, firstly, so it changed that grading, from 10 plus 2, it became, I think, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 or something like that. 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4.
Yes.
So was the first change, and then I think it's going for a more holistic approach, a more flexible curriculum, a curriculum which is more child-based, so that you more. So I think that is what NEP 2020 should. I mean, I think they should be able to benefit by it, by professional development. How they are looking into vocational guidance for the students, because that's also very important. Ultimately, what are we learning in school, and why are we in school? Ultimately, it is to make a career, in life. And what is a career? Apart from giving you gratification to what you want to do, it's also about earning money. It's also about being successful. It's also about being able to run a household or whatever you are worth. So all that, maybe it'll help, by change of the curriculum. It might be more vocational, fruitful for the children, I guess so.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, now we will commence with the rapid fire round. Here, we will ask you one-word questions where you can answer in one word or a sentence. Either is fine.
Oh dear, you're going to do rapid fire now, like you're going to be Karan Johar. But you haven't given any coffee to drink. Why should I do the rapid fire? You should give me a nice hot cup of coffee to sip. No, then I'll do rapid fire.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I'm just joking, just kidding. Yeah, carry on. Don't test me too much on the rapid fire, please, huh?
Come on. So my first question is, favorite food. What is your take on your favorite food?
My favorite food is, I eat Indian food every day. So it's like, I would say tuar dal and chawal. I just enjoy it with nice one big spoon of desi ghee. I'm still the desi ghee types. I can have that every day.
Ma'am, what is your favorite cuisine?
Favorite what?
Cuisine.
Cuisine. So favorite food I've told you, but my favorite cuisine, because I suffer from a stomach issue. So it is always Italian. It's always pizzas and pastas because I get bland food. So I enjoy pastas and pizzas outside. So Italian.
Shah Rukh
Italian.
Khan. What do you think about Shah Rukh Khan?
Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan is an icon. He's appreciated by young and old alike. But one sentence I would like to add about Mr. Shah Rukh Khan is that so many people don't know about this, but he's a very good human being also. He doesn't air what he does for people. He doesn't talk about it much. But I know from a very close friend who has been to his house, which is at Land's End, and Taj Land's End, where he lives, I think, or whatever it's called. I don't remember the name of the house, but he's a good human being. He helps people. This is one thing I would like the audience to know.
Ma'am, discipline.
No, self-discipline. You have to be self-disciplined. There's one word, self-discipline.
What do you-
External discipline cannot be enforced.
Happiness.
Within. You have to be happy within. If you're not a happy person, you can never make others happy. So you have to be happy from within. And for children, it is more than the intelligence quotient, it is the joy quotient. So that's happiness for me.
And ma'am, what is your take on the phrase that money buys happiness?
Oh, money can buy happiness, of course. Money has its uses, but I mean, money can give you lots of food, but not necessarily you'll be able to partake that food.
Yes, ma'am. The next question being teachers.
Teachers committed, handpicked by God, the chosen few. Totally handpicked by God to serve children.
So, ma'am, as you are a very avid reader, who is your favorite author and what is your favorite genre?
Genre, genre, you mean what? I mean, I read romance, I read thrillers, and my favorite authors are many, but my books are my main thing. Like Strong Medicine by Arthur Haley, I would recommend. Robin Cook, I read a lot. I've read Sidney Sheldon also. I've read all. I mean, Enid Blyton, of course, I've grown up reading Enid Blyton. I don't know if you guys have read Enid Blyton or not, but Enid Blyton was our goddess then. All children used to read it. Famous Five, this five, that five. So Arthur Haley, The Strong Medicine, and Robin Cook, Fever. These are iconic. And of course, everyone should read The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. One of my favorites. There's one sentence in that book which I oft quote, is that you can see the whole world without moving an inch, and that is only through books. It's a very famous sentence, and the name that's it's a film also. Anyways, from one word, I've spoken two sentences. Sorry for that.
No problem at all.
Ma'am, family.
Family is emotions, feelings, ties, bonding, keeps you an integral part of our culture. Without family, there is nothing.
Ma'am, what according to you is an ideal country?
I don't think any country is that. But my take is I'm a complete देशभक्त. अगर मैं टीचर ना बनती तो मैं गायक बनती, और अगर मैं गायक ना बनती तो शायद मैं आर्म फोर्सेस में होती. ये मेरे तीन ही पैशंस हैं, गाना, पढ़ाना और देशभक्ति. So I would say that India, and I often used to say that on the 15th August and the 26th of January in my address, my country, right or wrong, is my country. And if my country is right, keep it right. If it is wrong, set it right. So this was my message to the children on 15th August and 26th January, every year without fail, short of being repetitive.
Great insights, ma'am. What is your take on uniform?
Pride, honor, discipline, pride. Any uniform, armies, you should wear your uniform with a sense of pride.
So, ma'am, because you're a prolific singer, what is your take on Lata Mangeshkar ji?
Have you heard of the simile as clear as crystal? Her voice can be defined in this one as clear. शफाफ जिसको हम उर्दू में कहते हैं, कि आवाज ऐसी थी कि चीखती हुई निकल जाती थी. And she was like, her voice is like a voice which fits everybody. It may not have the special qualities of Geeta Dutt and Asha Bhosle and so many other singers, but it was a voice which was clear as crystal.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, to incorporate a wonderful ending to this podcast, can you please sing a song in your mellifluous voice and enlighten us with some parting pearls of wisdom?
Sing a song for you all.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Please.
This song by Doris Day, K Sera Sera. You've heard of it?
Yes, I have.
When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. That's it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You
Just the 2 lines, so I'm just singing.
Yes,
2
ma'am.
lines.
Thank you so
So
much.
what will be or not to be, or what will be. Que sera, sera.
Thank you so much.
It's sung by Doris Day. I don't know if you heard it or not, but it's a pretty famous song.
Yes, I think it's a Spanish song, ma'am.
No, it's by Doris Day. It's like, yeah, que sera, sera, of course. These words are, of course. They are not English words, yeah. Que sera, sera means what will be. That's the future. So we don't know about it anyways. Your future, I'm sure, is very bright. Both of you young, enterprising girls, Amrita and Reva. Thank you so much.
ma'am. Ma'am, one last question before we end for the day. Are the teachings from the Bhagavad Gita difficult to imbibe for us?
Not at all. You've asked such a relevant question close to my heart. I don't know how you girls have ended this up with Bhagavad Gita. I have just joined Bhagavad Gita classes every Saturdays. In the morning, I have this 1 or 2 hour session or 3 hours, however long this Sri Devi Guruji, Mataji, who comes and takes these online lessons. And I think Bhagavad Gita is related to everyday life. Every day. The teachings of Bhagavad Gita are so relevant to today's scenario. I mean, I cannot even begin to tell you how much of change it has brought in me. So, what was your question about Bhagavad Gita? How it is?
So, is it difficult to imbibe?
Not at all. Not at all. It is not difficult to imbibe at all. You should have, of course, read the Sanskrit shlok, but you should have the translation. And I do the ISKCON, the Srila Prabhupada, so it gives a huge purport to it. So when you read that, you understand what was the question and answer session between Arjun and Lord Krishna. So it's really important for everyone to read the Bhagavad Gita. I have gained, at this age, I have gained a lot. I've just started, I think, last year. And it's really taught me a lot. Really taught me a lot. So you girls also should, just keep the Bhagavad Gita, just flick open any page and just read the shlok on that. Just see, sometimes you'll open to a page and when you read the translation, you'll feel that it is something which has taught you, you're facing a problem and now that problem is resolved. It's like that. It's that good. It's not difficult at all. Not difficult. I don't know how this question you all have asked, but it's so close to my heart.
Yes, ma'am, we wholeheartedly agree.
Thank you, ma'am. We hope to have you once again sometime in the near future. We will now end with this podcast. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Amrita. Thank you, Reva. Thank you. A big, big thank you to your principal, Mrs. Mayuri Mehta, for having me, giving me this opportunity for this wonderful interview you girls are doing. So thank you so much, and I hope I lived up to your expectations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaste.
We would like to conclude the second edition of Footprints, Leaving an Indelible Mark. Please do check out our first edition with our host Satvik and Alek with the esteemed guest Sir Kamal Kant Sharma.
Thank you for watching.
Stay tuned
And
and happy
happy podcasting.
podcasting.